What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Move this mic up quick. You reached the This Change Your Lives, hosted by yours truly, Deonte Burden. I got everything streaming live on both my YouTube channel, Mr. Short Dollar and Change Your Lives. Y'all got to bear with me, man. Had a very funky evening this evening. Let me get these cameras straight. Your boy, I know we're supposed to start at 8 o'clock, but I hit a deal on the way to the studio. Don't worry, I am safe. Don't worry about it. No need to be distressed about that. But it did scare the hell out of me and everything. And I had plans of riding my car till the wheels fell off. Let me get this mic a little bit closer. Okay, cool. I had plans of riding that car till the wheels fell off, but I don't know. I didn't total. I don't know. We'll find that out later. But your boy is safe and sound with that. But yeah, I hit a deer on the way to the studio. But I still say, okay, I want to go live with everything. So here I am. We got a great show planned for you guys tonight. Tonight we're talking about why you still trying to convince people your worth. Why you still trying to convince people your worth. And we've touched on this subject kind of a roundabout way over the years with doing that, because a lot of times people get in those situations where they're always, they'll state that they feel like their value is here. They should be worth this, that, and that. But the movements is totally different from what was stated on that. And so we want to have a conversation with you guys. Unfortunately, I ain't got my brother DJ Lab with me right now, but we're going to make it do what it do. But guys, right now we're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter. But the main hub is the Mr. Short Dollar YouTube channel. No, I'm saying Mr. Short Change Lives YouTube channel. Y'all please bear with me. I'm streaming on both of them because it's kind of like a cross-platform subject matter. But, Change Lives is more motivational, professional development. I try to give everything from a perspective of a Black father. A lot of these conversations I do have with my children, and the kids that I mentor, young men I mentor, rather, even some of my OGs have had these same conversations with me. And again, we're talking about why you're still trying to convince people of your worth. Feel free to leave your comments and everything in the chat. And y'all got to bear with me, guys, because like I said, I'm trying to do all the stuff that Lab and Slick are normally doing. But I got to do everything myself. And I don't do it enough alone, which I do need to work on for me to be as proficient as possible with doing it. Before we get started, guys, I want to just announce something. We've had the YouTube channel about 7-8 years, and my assistant, Johnny Barrett, John was with me when we first started everything. Even when I went like 100% self-employed, but when we first started the YouTube channel, before Mr. Short Dollar just strictly changed the lives, Johnny be right there in the studio with me, Slick, and Lab, getting everything together, doing it up to the point when she first got diagnosed with cancer. And I'm thinking that was maybe 18, 19. I can't remember exactly when, but, she was my assistant about almost 4 or 5 years and everything. But last night, Johnny lost her battle with cancer. So we all going to give Johnny a shout out. We love and miss you and everything. You fought a good fight. But John was very pivotal in us, launching the show, doing it for the first couple of years, even on a personal side, helped me with a lot of things with my kids, getting things together, man. But we're going to miss Johnny and everything. But guys, with that said, Johnny used to always say to me, make sure you go to the hospital, make sure you go to your doctor appointments, go get checked and everything. And I've been pretty decent, going, doing my regular stuff like I did in the military. We're going, but definitely, guys, make sure you go in and get yourselves checked, go to your doctor appointments and everything. Don't wait the sun hurting to do that. But we're gonna miss you, Johnny. I just want to talk about you with that. The other thing of it is I'll come back to that later. And again, guys, feel free to leave your comments. Tonight's show, we're talking about why you still trying to convince people your worth. Your value doesn't decrease just because someone else can't see it. And people got to understand that. Like, I do have these conversations a lot of times because people will sit there and say to themselves, well, I feel like I should get this. I feel like I should do that. And I am a big proponent of you can feel a certain way about where you are. And the reason why we're streaming this live on Change the Lives and Mr. Short Dollar, a lot of times people, when they go into business, they feel like they should be, especially in the city called Atlanta, everybody wants to be platinum, premium, celebrity and all this other kind of stuff. But you really ain't a platinum premium celebrity type person, right? And you might know one or two person, got access to one or two people, but I think people don't really understand that uh, celebrity and affluent is not even a fraction of a percentage of most normal populations. And I say all that to say there's not enough of them around to sustain most businesses, most business models, right? So you don't have enough of the market that you feel like that you should have around to even, stay open, right? But I do know, this city, you have everybody wants to be a certain tier with doing it. And I always say we can feel like we're a certain way, but the market dictates everything. If you cannot find people willing to pay for those prices and services that you have, can you really just say, hey, this is what I should have, right? However you feel about it, at the end of the day, still the market is going to dictate it. If people are not buying your stuff, people not using your stuff, what are you going to do, right? So we can't really, never so much you can do if no one is using your products and services. So that's why I want to have this conversation, even with that, professionally, personally, however you want to look at it, but just understanding, why you shouldn't be so far caught into just demanding people see what you see in yourself, right? And you don't need a damn waiver from it either. I've always said from the get go, it's very hard to go from the cheap person to the premium person. A lot of times people start a business up and they'll say that we'll go in, below market, and then as we grow and we get more of a rapport, or people become more aware of who we are and established, we can raise the prices up. Not thinking that most people came to you for one reason alone. You're the cheapest, right? So what is the incentive for them to come back to you or pay more money later, right? Even though you may have a valid point that we're worth this, we've done these particular things. I mean, we came to you because you're the cheapest, and we're just going to stay with you because you're the cheapest, regardless of what you'll be able to provide for people. So, and I think people have to really understand that, right? So again, we're talking about why you still trying to convince people, trying to convince people of your worth. And the first thing I want to talk about, I think about it, is just the root of the need for validation. Many people spend years chasing approval, not because they're weak, but because they weren't conditioned to. A lot of times childhood conditioning. I remember Jay growing up, a lot of times it was probably, kind of everybody kind of fell in their place. I was raised by my grandparents. When I say people fell in their place, um, it probably it wasn't the norm to sit here and just say, okay, black folks will make this, white folks will make that. You don't rock the boat, be glad for what you got. Don't say anything about it. For you to have 1% confidence in yourself and feel like, okay, I should be charging, making these amounts of wages, I should be charging these amount of prices. Yeah, it was unheard of, right? My grandfather, who raised me, very confident man, but I also knew how he thought in regards to, hey, I'm okay as long as I'm here, and that here is still below a lot of other people, especially like white folks, just not thinking, okay, that we can have more or we were equal to, and it was just it's kind of unwritten, right? And when we start talking about childhood conditions, people just don't necessarily um, look at it from that perspective. When you start growing up here and be useful, don't talk back, do what I say. You learn early that your worth depends on pleasing others. Sometimes, and I don't want to get that confused with just following directions or just basic order, but a lot of times, just the whole point of not thinking and not knowing, it's a slippery slope, because a lot of times, people um, just kind of give or take. I didn't necessarily. I've been a very confident person most of my life, but I've never known any one of my peers, family members, or anything, or even just pushing them when we were younger to be confident, to be. 1 second, make sure I got this camera correct. What was good? Okay, want to check. Is everybody on Instagram? Can you guys see me? Am I in front of the whole screen on Instagram? I want to make sure that I don't know if is it cut in half. I don't know how. I know I got all these different cameras going on in front of me. But again, just being conditioned at an early age, just having that root of need for validation. And we start talking about why you need to stop trying to convince people of your worth. again, growing up hearing certain things, that work environment, jobs that reward you for overperforming but underpay you, or to underpay you, make you feel replaceable unless you prove yourself. Again, just and most time that happens like when people, dangling that carrot. When you and a lot of us can get in that way. We got a job, we're feeling good, we got stability going on in our lives. We don't want to necessarily rock the boat. You you feel a certain way about how things are going. Okay. Training code. So the camera is it the full screen showing, or is it cut in half? Because I'm seeing like a cut in half version on my desktop. Let me know if it's being cut off or not. But again, just you're hearing certain things with your jobs. I've been there before. I remember when I first got out of the military, I working in his warehouse, and they were giving us, I think it was like 750 an hour, and I was asking for 785, something like that. And my supervisor, it's cut in half. Get around that. Let's see. I don't know how to fix that. So I'm gonna see. I don't know. See if I can get this. Y'all bear with me 1 second. Might got that. That might have fixed it. We'll see. Yeah, I'm moving in the middle with other things. Okay, well, we're gonna just deal with it. Okay, cool. I think we got it fixed right there. I got these other cameras there. Everywhere else, everything's in full screen. Just the Instagram was cut in half. Okay, cool. Thanks. Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, I remember just being you in those situations where you got stability, you've been at a job, in a certain situation for a while, and you're feeling good about yourself. But then when you want to speak up and ask for certain things, uh, you get all stressed. Quit, leave. You ain't got to be here. Well, this is what we're gonna do. What are you gonna do? Leave. And it does something to you, especially as a male and a man. You kind of like, why are you punking me? And we started talking about you have to go through all that whole speech of what you do, what you bring to the table, what you add to the company, what value and stuff. And I'm pretty sure everybody that's um, north of 35, definitely north of 40, have had those conversations with their supervisors where they got to talk to them and tell them what they did, tell them what they learned, and all that kind of stuff. And the BS behind all that is, they know. Because at the end of the day, they know what you're doing right, and they damn sure know what you're doing wrong. But then you have to go through this whole spiel of trying to sell yourself just for, some damn, crumbs a lot of times. Wages are definitely different than they were 20, 30 years ago, but definitely, man, just the BS you have to go through sometimes because people, take advantage of, people being, that fear of you not being employed, that fear of you not being able to take care of yourself, take care of your family. So, a lot of times with employment, you kind of condition not to say anything, just kind of be status quo and don't rock the boat and go along with everything. Relationships, loving people who will appreciate you when you're doing something for them trains you to learn, trains you to earn love instead of receive it. When you only in a situation where it's only one way. What I'm doing for you, that gets your attention. What I'm providing for you, they get your attention. People get kind of stuck like that. I will say this: if you get somebody by providing and doing certain stuff, you can't really trip later on once you get used to them and they still asking for shit, because that's how you got them from the get go. You got to be realistic about that when you're doing those particular things. But when you start looking at that, like, hey man, only you're getting recognized or appreciated when you're doing stuff for people. You gotta wisen up with that. You really do. You gotta wisen up with doing that in particular. Social media, we live in an era where likes and validations feel like proof that we matter. You know, a lot of times people sit there and look at it, and I understand. I mean, that's just the game we in. You see somebody that has a following of a hundred some thousand people, and you look at it like, okay, they're more credible, they know what they're doing. But I mean, majority of the time I've noticed a lot of shit is fake. As far as bought views and all this other stuff, we're gonna leave that alone. But people will see that a lot of times, just get at credibility as far as who that person is and what they're saying, not looking at necessarily if that person is actually trained or educated or experienced with the actual subject matter they're talking about. And I've seen that a lot right now. I'm an accountant with the tax business. Just everybody wants to become a taxpayer. They're selling certain products and everything like that. And a lot of validation is, the social media posts. People are promoting a luxurious lifestyle, being able to make 6 and 7 figures. I don't know how the hell you're gonna make 6, 7 figures starting out the gate with a tax business. I mean, I just don't. Market tax return 400 or 500 bucks. You turn around and you divide that by 100,000. They kind of give you an idea how many returns you got to do. And if you only know 30 or 40 people, and you're gonna get convinced strangers to give you their personal information, good luck. So, but when you see those kind of things, you see people promoting certain stuff. I can see that. I can see that. But when you don't do that, but you're extremely credible, you got a good reputation and everything, it's hard to kind of say, well, listen, I'm the real smart guy. I'm the one with the degrees. I'm the one with the experience and stuff. People want to hear that shit. They want to see, like, okay, you riding the boat in the ocean and doing that kind of stuff, right, wrong, and indifferent. That's just how that is. You hopeful be intelligent enough, seasoned enough to know the difference, but it sounds good. Sounds good. When it works for you, it works for you. When it don't, it don't. So you can't really trip on it, in my personal opinion, with that. Again, guys, we're talking about why are you still trying to convince people of your worth? We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter. This is a show streaming on Changing Lives, but again, I got Mr. Short Dollar showing as well. It'll be a little. I get back used to doing these by myself, trying to move all the stuff around. Ain't got Lab here helping me out. Some of the dangers of trying to prove your worth, guys, and that's trying to convince others. Your value leads to emotional exhaustion. You get burned out and everything. Because I've been in those situations before where you go into your job, you having those conversations, trying to explain what you're trying to do. You're doing that knock sales. I mean, I was just telling one of my cousins earlier today. I went to that whole chitlin circuit of trying to grow the business and what I do, what I've learned over the years and stuff. People don't want to hear that shit, and it's hard to get rejected, get turned down, reset, and keep going. It's very hard to do that, and unless you built a certain way, most folks are not going to do that. They're going to just get away from it and stop doing what they probably dream of and probably can have success with if they be a lot more persistent and get some tougher skin. But again, you give and give, hoping for recognition, but it never comes, and you got to be okay with it. Okay, because everybody wants to get you go boy, you go girl. I'm proud of you, good job and great work and stuff like that. It make you feel good, but then you got to say to yourself, "Am I doing this for that recognition? I'm doing it for myself." And you got to be, have your head in the right space to be okay with not getting that, not getting those kind of things, and that could be from your peers. That can be from your family. That can be from your significant other, because a lot of times people go in a situation, they'll say, well, I feel like my girl, my guy, or my spouse should be supporting what I'm doing, supporting my dreams. And it's cool if it happens, but again, their interest is their interest and yours is yours. Ideally, you want that, but it's not always going to happen that way. So I just want everybody kind of get in that right mindset where you're not so stuck to be expecting that. And low self-esteem, when people don't respond the way you want, you internalize it. Yeah, like I said, you got to make yourself get your skin thick with a lot of stuff, because everybody's not going to be nice the way they come out with certain things, because in your mind you feel like you should get this, but the other people just see you like, nah, man, nobody want to do that. Nobody paying attention to you, whatever. And the way you feel about yourself will determine how far you'll go along with that. If you're going to just hear it or you're going to listen to it, right? Not saying you need to blow off advice or words from people when they say something to you, because people don't have to say something to you. They say anything to you at all. But you determine the impact that you're going to let that have on you, right? And if you're seeking information, you're looking to learn and grow from something, that's one thing. But, sometimes when people just say certain stuff to you with no intention of it having any kind of positive impact or in direction or any kind of impact. They're just saying, just to be saying it, you got to be smart enough to know what kind of impact you're going to let that information have on your life, okay? So we can't always just like, well, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And this person always hating. Man, I'd be hating. It's just run it damn off. Just Some people just like that. I remember going when I was younger, and I go down to my great grandmama's house when I was a kid. She just would say stuff you like, didn't care about feelings, didn't care about whatever. And I don't. I look when I got older and she still was alive. I learned I don't think she was just hating. I just think she just was not honest, but just say anything out of damn side of her mouth, just whatever just came out, if it makes sense or not, right? But you people from the era that just said stuff like that and they just were brutal. Feelings weren't thought of with that. The unfortunate part about it, nobody really looked at, in my personal opinion, the impact it was making on people if you weren't, built a certain way. You can have resentment, guys. Resentment, you start feeling bitterness towards people who are trying to impress, and trying to convince the wrong people drains the energy you might have for the right ones. Because you spend so much time trying to appease your supervisor, trying to appease a person that you're liking and everything, then the people that are close to you, they can get that impact of, because you drain trying to do that stuff all day long. And you come home, you can be a funny person. I always remember my ex-wife told me, like she could tell the difference in my temperament when I had left my job. Because I know, I mean, I was miserable there. I'm miserable there and everything, but just I wasn't coming home pissed off the way I was when I was going to a job every day. Not that job, not a job, anything, but just being there every day. But when you're trying to do certain stuff, like man, I'm gonna prove to them this and I'm gonna prove to them that, they didn't give a damn what I did. I can honestly look back at it because I had to go to some of my OGs and had a conversation like, hey man, um, I'm trying to get this promotion, trying to do this certain stuff. You go to some of the OGs and have conversations with them, and got some of the most stupidest damn advice, right? You talk to them and like, hey man, won't you? One of my OGs, he told me, I say OG, I mean, I'm not saying I didn't get good advice from them at times, but in those particular times when I was trying to get, and those most of the time I got to get information in regards to like systems and processing. But as far as just progression and things like that, I really didn't get it because I was working in the financial sector in a predominantly white corporate America, and there's not one too many brothers there, people enough experienced enough to kind of give me the actual guidance that I needed, right? But when I was taught some of my OGs, and they'll tell me, hey man, why don't you just go golfing? Why don't you go hanging out with them? I didn't want to do that shit. And I seen people get promoted that didn't have to do that, right? And I didn't want to do that. I didn't see why I had to do so much conforming I had to do so much conforming to be able to, assimilate with everybody. And it wasn't required from everyone. But even when I would turn and do it, like, okay, well, let me go here, let me try to do that. I couldn't do that. I didn't. And at the end of the day, when you start doing that kind of stuff, the success or the money that you may acquire, you can't enjoy it because you're not even being you. You ain't happy with doing it, right? So we had to be very, very careful with doing that. You stay in the wrong spaces, you stay around people who don't value you just to prove certain things, it will do a lot of stuff to you long term where you second guessing yourself, you start thinking funny about certain things you've done because and we all been there. Well, I say we almost speak for everybody, but I don't think it's difficult at all or uncommon for people to be in certain spaces. You're like, man, I stayed here too long. I shouldn't have did this. I shouldn't have did that. And I've known people that have been in situations, i.e. a job 20, 30 years. And I get it. If you have obligations or family or doing certain things, I get it. I'm not going to sit here and preach about, do this and do that. And, you have those obligations. But a lot of times people stay in situations because of themselves. Like, I'm scared. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with, I talk about that all the time in regards to those game changing moments in your life, i.e. move, divorce, quit your job, start a business. They are extremely frightening. They are extremely frightening. The kicker is when you do that, though, those are the kind of situations that'll put you in a whole different stratosphere in your life, So I'm very aware of how change can be very, very scary. And we talk about even with change the lives and also Mr. Short Dollar. People have to be mentally prepared to be frightened. Not to necessarily stop you, but to make you aware of all the different situations that you might go through. And it might be um, 5 different scenarios, and you may got 3 or 4 of them down. 1 or 2 of them might catch a surprise, like, hey man, I should have thought about that. But you got to be able to sit here and just think through stuff, right? You got to be able to do that. Okay. Again, the night show we're talking about why are you why are you trying to prove why are you still trying to convince people of your worth. I'm sorry, guys, I've been going through all these dang notes. Why you still trying to convince people of your worth? And again, I want to have this conversation with everybody because I know far too often people are in those situations where they're like, listen, I believe I should get this, I believe I deserve this, that, and that, but it never happens. And they get into those funks trying to argue with folks about certain things and not necessarily knowing how to actually achieve it. And if you're not, just because you're not don't achieve it, don't get discouraged with it, but just be like, okay, cool. I need to get enough, you know, confidence in myself or experience or seek other opportunities where I can do that because um, you you should never get changing a situation confused with quitting. Sometimes you can do everything you're supposed to do, everything you're supposed to do, and people still may not give you opportunity. Everything you went through all these different classes, you went through all these different certifications, you've done everything that you do, all the stuff you taught to do or whatever, and you still don't get a chance. And it doesn't mean that you were wrong because everybody don't get a chance, right? Everybody doesn't. But if you know you put in the work to achieve certain things that don't fall into place, it do something to you. So you got to be mentally prepared to understand, like, hey, life like that. You can go and submit, apply, put all this kind of stuff in. It just don't necessarily fall into the way you want it to go. Doesn't make you a failure. Don't make you a quitter because you decide to do something else. Just like, look, we ain't gonna keep fighting losing battle because we do know what once time is spent, you can't get it back. Keep trying to do this and go down this road doing certain things, and you're like, nah, I'm not a quitter. I'm gonna make it happen. You can do that, but you got to be realistic. Is it you or just not going to happen, right? And you can be honest with yourself. You always going to be right when you looking for that answer. No, you ain't always going to be right. But I think you can always be aware of how many damn chances and how many times you're going to keep trying to do something. So just something to keep in mind. Again, tonight's show we're talking about why you still trying to convince people of your worth. The next thing I want to talk about is just the signs you're stuck in the prove yourself mode. The signs you're stuck in the prove yourself mode. Let me see, I'm trying to check something right quick. Okay. When we start talking about the signs you're stuck in the prove yourself mode, you over explain your decision. And that's when you sit there, you can just give a whole I have dream speech in regards to I did this because of that. This is because these things happen all the time. You got a reason or I don't want to say excuse, but more a reason why you won't do certain things. I don't excuse kind of have like a negative connotation, even though we're not saying it, but it kind of got a negative connotation. But when I would say over explaining, you got a reason after reason after reason why you haven't quit, reason after reason after reason why you haven't changed, reason after reason after reason why you know you haven't done things differently, moved on or go into a different direction, right? So you kind of stuck trying to prove this stuff over and over again. Man, if I just come in later, man, if I get another this, man, if I can get this person to sign off on that, I'll be okay. And sometimes it just ain't gonna happen like that, right? So it's just not gonna happen. Another thing, you tolerate disrespect just to be the bigger person. Um, Everybody's not gonna let you turn the other cheek. And one thing about it, when people start disrespecting you or treating you a certain way, they actually go forward with doing worse the more you tolerate it. I always say your silence is your compliance. So a lot of times when people do certain things and they try in a certain manner, when they say you ain't got a problem with it, they continue to do it a certain way. They may at one point they started off talking loud to you in just a room with you two. Now they're talking loud to you in a room with several other people. Then they start being disrespectful with more people around. So you got to understand, like, hey, man, I'm like, look, I'm trying to be professional. I'm trying to do certain stuff. Nah, that supervisor that you have, that person in charge of you, or that person that's with you, they're never going to see you in a respectful manner. And you can't just sit here like, okay, well, I'm just going to turn the other cheek and do this. I'm not gonna respond to that. And I'm not saying cut a fool. I'm not saying just jump and beat the hell out of anybody. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, don't sit there and be somebody damn punch a bag because you worry about what can happen to you. I'm just saying that because a lot of the image that you're not trying to show can also be detrimental to you. Because people looking at like, damn, man, I thought that person there was had a little backbone. I thought that person there would be, stand up for themselves, doing certain things, and you can miss out on an advocate for you by, turning the cheek too much. You apologize for things that ain't your fault. Now, from a gentleman standpoint, and I do know as a business owner, some things I might didn't even do. Like, hey man, I'm sorry about your weight. Now, some things were spoken. A part might have got ordered. We may have a company that we're using their systems down. It's not my fault. But at the end of the day, from a level in the situation, you just talk to a customer. Listen, I'm sorry about the delay and everything. Delay didn't have a damn thing to do to me, but I don't need to tell the customer that. You got to kind of pick your battles with it. And I always kind of look at it, are you informing or are you deflecting? Are you informing or are you deflecting? When you inform, you just let them know, hey, I'm sorry. This is what's going on or what's happened. But I apologize for the inconvenience. But if you turn around, come off the gate, look, we ain't had nothing to do with that. That was on that. That was, this stuff didn't come in, but it's nothing. You need to look up with them, with this other company. People don't want to hear that shit. People don't want to hear that shit. And you got to just be realistic with that. But when you start turning around and just making excuses for things that you didn't have nothing to do with, just be honest with folks. I think people diffuse it by the apology, and then you can explain. Like I said, I'm talking about diffusing it and level it off. Just keep somebody okay with everything. But when we start kind of getting beat up for no reason without informing, I would never advise anybody to do that. You should never accept less because you're afraid of losing people. I mean, at the end of the day, I coached football 22 years, park and rec football 22 years. There were many a times where, parents like, well, I take my son off team. I go here. I'm like, get the F on. And I mean it every damn time. Get the F on. And I've been like that with anything in my day-to-day life, relationships, whatever, because people, once they know that you're afraid to lose them, they will mistreat you so damn bad. Well, you damn near might damn snap later on because you shouldn't have did that. Don't ever compromise who you are to have certain people around you. Like I said, that's personal, professional, whatever. Nah. Now you do have to be honest with yourself and assess if it's something you're doing wrong, why people may want to leave, right? But if you can do that, but you be honest, like, look, these just trying to hold me hostage. We're not gonna, I'm this kind of worker. I'm this kind of player. This is my value, and you should be able to, take what I give to you. Because of that, you gotta let them get their phone. You just can't sit there and just let somebody be somebody's personal punch bag, okay? And be okay with that. Be okay with that because the peace of mind that you're gonna have with just protecting you is well worth more than sitting there getting, stressed out, beat up, stuck in a situation that that you regret because you wanted to not necessarily rock the boat or lose certain things, right? I just remember that, excuse me, all the time, just with coaching. There'll be them parents that come, well, we'll do this, bye. Bye. Anybody that knows me, if your child played for them, whatever, and you know that, bye. Get the F on. I'm not going. I wasn't going to entertain that, right? But it's the same thing with your jobs and stuff. Don't necessarily let jobs, your business. I've had customers that that I did quite well servicing them, but they were just so effed up as customers, couldn't do it because you got my employees or contractors about to quit dealing with them. So you got to be realistic. You can't let nobody just hold you up where feel like, okay, because of who I am and what I do, you guys just take anything from me. Just make sure you keep that in mind. You shouldn't feel guilty when you put yourself first. You it's only one you, right? It's only one you. It's only one you. If you get lost, you get messed up, Nobody be able to fix that. And everybody gonna say the same thing. But why didn't he rest? Why didn't he make sure he was straight? Why didn't they make sure they were covered? People don't give a damn. People don't give a damn. People care a lot about what you can do for them, right? What you can do for them. You're not able to do things for them, they disappear. What you're doing for yourself, anyone can care about less. So you got to make sure you put yourself first. Not to the point where it can be jeopardizing your situation and what you're doing. Let me see what's going on with this. Y'all bear with me 1 second. Okay. Again, not to the point where you're compromising things you have going on, but you got to make sure you cool. You got to make sure you cool, guys, and never ever feel bad about you looking out for yourself. Okay. If these things kind of sound familiar to any one of y'all, you might be trying too hard to make people see what they don't want to see. You gotta be okay with being okay with you. All right. Don't necessarily want to make so many mistakes when you're like, this isn't what I should be doing. I can't be doing that. I remember when I had left my job, me and my cousin Nick were just chilling, and I was like, man, I'm about to kill some damn body that often. He's just like, cuz you might want to leave. And I had just got so used to being miserable. I was wrapping my head around like this is just normal, right? But it's nothing uncommon to get out, get that way. Well, you don't even want to get out of bed in the morning to go to work or do certain things or be in a relationship or, just don't eat. Tons of guys. I remember bit the cigar spot at the bar. They're coming in every day, staying at 10, 11 o'clock at night because they didn't want to go home. Who the hell want to be in that situation? Who the hell want to be in that damn situation where you miserable about going to, your sanctuary? Again, tonight we're talking about, are you still trying to convince people your worth? Something I want to go into is just the truth about your worth, okay? When you start looking at your worth, so we start saying, hey, I'm worth this, worth that. These are the kind of things that I want you to kind of assess about your worth. Your worth is not performance-based. Your value is not a debate, negotiation, or a group vote. Your value is not a debate, negotiation, or a group vote. It exists whether people agree, understand, acknowledge, or appreciate it. Again, your value exists if people agree with you, they understand you, they acknowledge you, or appreciate you. Period. Everybody is not going to see the same thing when they look at you, right? Everybody's not going to see the same thing. Everybody's not going to value it the same or whatever. At the time you're trying to convince people to see you a certain way, you can be spent more focused on the people that do see you that way, trying to get around them. The people that don't necessarily see it, they just ain't going to see it, right? Just understand that value does not, it's just there, regardless who agree, understand, acknowledge, or appreciate, okay? Just like gold doesn't lose value when buried underground, your worth remains, even if someone is too blind or biased to recognize it. Everybody's not going to see it the same way. If you feel like number one stunner, you feel like you should be able to do all these things, the people should be recognizing you, that's cool. That's cool. And you cannot get out of that mind frame just because everybody does not agree with you. Just point blank period. And be totally honest with you about that. Far too often people are based what they feel about themselves off what other people, perceive. And that's not a good way to be. Okay. And how can you stop trying to convince people? Okay. Now we done went through the ways to look at, assess it, assess your value, how you should feel about your value. Like we just said, regardless of what other people think, it ain't based off other people's perception. But you want to, learn how to stop trying to convince people and give you guys a couple steps that you should take. We're looking to do that. And the first one is go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. Go where you celebrate, not where you tolerate it. Your energy is too valuable to waste proving yourself to people who don't want to get it. Period. And I can understand. I definitely understand being in situations where you like people. You like being around certain people. You want to be a part of something. And you compromise yourself with like, because I want to be part of this, I'm going to take this. Because I want to be part of this, I'm going to kind of act like these certain things aren't happening or things are a certain way. And I get it. Yeah, no one likes rejection. No one likes rejection. I think most people want to be a part of something and everything. But you got to be realistic, guys. You have to be very, very realistic about that, okay? So go where you celebrate, not tolerate. The second one, guys, is very, very important, guys. Very important because if you don't do this, it's always going to come back and bite you in the butt because you didn't necessarily lay this down at first. You got to set firm boundaries. People who can't respect your no will never respect your worth. People who can't respect your no will never respect your worth. Listen, I told you no, and that's it. And we do that with our children, relationships, personal and professional. Be stuck on it. People understand how far they can go with you. But when you make your no kind of like, oh, well, come on back. Y'all know my rule. No means not right now. If your no is a no, now, Deonte, I said no, leave me the hell alone. And God knows I've been told that before. And I know, when I kind of see that temperament, like, okay, that's by, I went about as far as I can go with that. I know. Let me pull my ass back. Somebody done damn jumped on my ass. Still poking the bell, trying to get certain things done. So make sure that you set very, very, very firm boundaries with everything. You gotta validate yourself first. Validate yourself first. Stop outsourcing your self-esteem. You cannot try to feel proud of yourself because other folks are proud of you. You cannot feel good about yourself because other people are pepping you up and talking about you. You got to feel that way coming out the door. You got to feel that way coming out the door, that you're worth what you're worth, and you don't think it. You believe it. You believe it so damn much that damn other folks don't even know, but they believe it, okay? You cannot be trying to validate yourself like what other people see, okay? I'm serious. It's it's like it's always a negative perception when a person is confident. I got called all that shit before. Arrogant. He think he this. He think he that. You ain't did nothing to people, but because you're not walking around with your head down, or you're not acting the way people think you should. People tell you need to be humble. You need to do this. You need to do that. And not that you even unappreciative of what's going on in your life. It's just at the end of the day, you feeling good about yourself. And I cannot dictate to you, well, if you ain't got to do that. Well, you can be confident and be this way. Well, that's your confidence. That's your confidence, not mine. That's how you feel. And I can't dictate to you how you should carry yourself when you're feeling good about yourself. You can't do that. But people be quick to tell you, nah, man, if you be humble and do these certain things, that shit you do, not me. Okay, that's what you do. I don't do that, right? And it's not fair to people to do that. You got to be very, very careful with you. Very, very careful, because if people don't have the same confidence in themselves that you have, they will bring your ass down. Intentionally, unintentionally, just how they vibe or the things they say or their energy. So be very, very careful and protect yourself. Protect yourself with your confidence, okay? Make sure you protect yourself with that, okay? You got to make sure, guys, except when relationships have expired. Except when relationships have expired. Look, some people only value the version of you who didn't know their value. So all of a sudden now, like, hey man, you think you done did this, you don't think you done did that. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. I done went through that shit personally. I done went through that. You ain't did a damn thing, but feel progress in life, you're feeling good about yourself, and people, typically a lot of them that are very close to you, they start bringing up shit that you like, where the hell that come from? You haven't moved different, you haven't said anything, you haven't belittled anyone, but because you feeling good about yourself, you feeling good about what you're doing, they just find some reason to cut your ass in half and whatever. And you got to be strong enough to be like, that would have old me, that new me now. Because when people say, well, you changed, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with changing? What's wrong with changing? Now, if you say, look, I'm demeaning you, I'm disrespecting you, I'm not treating you right or whatever, that's a whole different conversation. But you change. Who the hell don't want to change, right? Life's all about progression. If you still move off 1990, 2000, 2010, 2020 ways, you're going to get passed by. So we all got to make some kind of change. Again, if it's not having a negative impact on other people, and most time it's not. It's just the whole point of it is everybody's not going to be able to um, move with the new you, or understand the new you because you different, right? And we start talking about people trying to convince others about their worth. A lot of times, folks will see you doing certain things in life that you never did before, saying certain things, moving a certain way, acquiring certain things, and you just good at it, but you're not the person you was 10, 15, 20 years ago. I mean, you got to just don't worry about that. And you ain't got to stop dealing with people, whatever, but just be realistic to the amount you're going to let them impact you. Because people that are close to you, it will really, really hurt you. Um, Depending on what they say or how they move with you when you start progressing and making different changes in life. Just something to keep in mind. And guys, you got to focus on becoming, not convincing. Focus on becoming, not convincing. Your worth will speak louder than your expectations. When those verbs change, I will, I can, I am, not can. I will, I am, I are. It's not, no, we are. When you got the right verb tenses, they make you move a certain way. I'm gonna try. I may. We'll see. No, 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 no. I am. I'm going to. We're doing. Those things. It's gonna get executed, and a lot of that had to do with mindset. So when you start shortening yourself by the words you say or the movements you have, those kind of things that happen. So you got to make sure that when we, subconsciously, you're doing things in a manner where you can put your mind and body's going on the same path and you move it a certain way. You got to make sure you do that because far too often when you start saying I'm gonna try to do this and we plan on doing that, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that because you're gonna move in a way that you're going to make it happen, as opposed to a way that you're gonna try to make something happen. Okay. With that said, guys, I'm gonna kind of open up the floor for a little bit. You guys got any comments or questions and everything? Like I said, man, I had that accident early in my car. I don't know what direction my car gonna go right now, and I'm just trying to make sure that I want to just this is always therapeutic for me to sit and run my mouth and everything. So I just want to talk with you guys about everything. Have you ever felt like you had to prove your worth to somebody? Have anybody in the chat can y'all say, hey, I felt like I had to prove myself to somebody before. And that happened, kind of give a scenario in regards to that. Let me see. I guess didn't anybody have a situation where they felt they had to prove themselves? I guess everybody got perfect lives. They never had to do that. Just my silly ass. And I can just share this with when I had finished grad school and one of my mentors, he was on the other side, finna get ready to retire. And I remember I went to him like, hey, I'm thinking about uh, um, what kind of opportunity would be for me at an organization going forward. I just got my master's and stuff. And he was just telling me, hey, man, why don't you just go about it this way? We're doing certain stuff. It was good advice. We're doing it. But I say all that to say, I went to my direct supervisor, which was CFO at that time of the company. He talked to one of the vice presidents. And, I had made this whole summary of assistant CFO or controller. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I had made this whole um, presentation to them, but also where I fell in line with those credentials and everything. And when I said, man, I could have been just talking down Arabic, they would not listen to shit I was saying. Right? I'm like, I got this, I got that, and keep in mind, I'm former military, so I'm very, very realistic about the comeback. You've been late to work, you missed this, you had these mistakes, this, that. And I'm realistic. I ain't had none of that shit, none of it, right? And that was very, very, very tough on me because I'm constantly going back. Well, I got this, I've done this, I've done that, and everything, trying to get a damn presentation to some people that really weren't going to damn listen. They were not. They were not, and they ultimately brought a friend of theirs in to work over me, which again is illegal and all that stuff. But it make you feel a certain type of way when you're in a situation like that, and you're trying to do you're trying to do it the right way, progress and stuff, but you're not giving them opportunity. It do something to you. It really does do something to you, and it did something to me with all that said. So those situations with myself. You see, so I guess nobody ain't never been in a situation that had to prove itself. Anybody respond to that? That's very unique. With doing that, um, and from a cost perspective, with all that trying to go on, it stressed me the hell out. It stressed me the hell out. It took a little toll on me mentally with trying to do that. It really did because again I ain't getting depressed and nothing like that, but I definitely wasn't effective as I could have been because I'm already pissed off every day I go to work and I felt like I wasn't getting valued or looked upon the way I wanted to do. So you gotta be very, very smart about how far you gonna let people push you or not, look at you in a certain way. They don't mean they have to agree with it, they don't mean they have to move with it. But at the end of the day, you just can't be this damn, empty head, like, okay, you done everything you're supposed to, you submitted all this other kind of stuff, they still don't like you. And that's possible. That's possible. Life ain't always fair, but life always it is what it is, right? And you can't change certain stuff. So fairness and doing certain things, because you hear it all the time. If you do this, you do that, you work hard, now these things are gonna happen. Maybe, maybe. But you can always just control what you control. I say it all the time: control your controllables. Control your controllables. If you cannot control their decision making on what opportunity they're gonna give you, be realistic with it. Okay, then whatever they come up with, whatever they decide, can you live with it? You gonna have an opportunity to do other things and certain things like that. Ask yourself that and be honest. Be honest. When we start talking about why you trying to convince people to look at your value, everybody ain't some people just not even gonna give a damn. You can just give the ultimate speech, the ultimate presentation. I've been there before, and just sometimes people just don't want it, just don't want it. Okay, but you gotta again learn to that's their decision, and that's not the decision that you're going to live by in life. That's just their decision at a particular time. But you still have free will to make sure you're going in a direction and do things for yourself. Okay, we ain't gonna ever have no quitters and stuff. In our camp. Okay. Well, listen, I'm gonna get ready to wrap everything up. It's been a great show. I needed this to get on the live and everything, talk with everybody and stuff. I want to make sure all you guys are staying safe and sound out there. Love you all. I'll probably do a live feed in the morning. Kind of still stay a little bit busy as well and stuff. But I want to just thank everybody from the bottom of my heart. Everything's growing. Everything's doing well. Let me put this. I don't think I got the link for the book in the chat here. Let me see if I can go on Amazon with that. Okay. Let's see. Put this in the chat. Oh, yeah, that was easy. Let's see what I can do with this. Put that in there. There we go. Okay. Is it coming up? That was the link to my new financial book, Short Dollars and Cents. And look at this smart guy. I ain't even got the damn book in front of me. Guys, you got bear with me. I hit that damn deal. That just threw me off today. I wanted to come in live and talk with you guys about everything and stuff. But that damn show threw me off and everything. But we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. But listen, guys, I want to tell you again from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate all the love and support. Y'all take it easy. If you came in like the end of the show, make sure you leave, your comments or questions in the chat. If you're checking us out on Instagram or TikTok and came in, go to Change Your Lives on YouTube, or Change Your Lives hosted by Deonte Burden on YouTube or Mr. Short Dollar. Subscribe to both. And like I say, I'm streaming on both right now, so you can leave your questions and comments in the description section, not description, in the comment section. Damn, my ass off. But y'all take it easy. Y'all take it easy. Be safe. And like I said, I'm trying to holler at everybody tomorrow. Big shout out by my oldest son, Torian. He's coaching at Shiloh High. They play Milton, first round of Georgia High School football state playoffs. My kids' alma mater, Jonesboro High School. Well, three of my sons graduated from. My baby boys up there now. They play South DeKalb. I think at the Cal Memorial Stadium tomorrow. We'll go check out my oldest son. I've been to my youngest son who's in the band. I've been to a few of his games this year. I haven't seen my oldest son them coaching, so I'm going up there tomorrow to that game. But again, guys, appreciate you so much for the love and support. Love you all. Be safe. And I'll talk with you soon.